So it's right around 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. I am lying here on my bed trying to sleep. It is really early in the morning. I quickly got up to use my bathroom about 20 minutes ago. And that's when the psychopath and sex offender named J. Irizarry, who is constantly using surveillance devices in my bathroom, started using a remote stun gun device on me while I was trying to use the facilities in my bathroom. This happened at around 4:10 a.m. And because I got up very quietly and went in there quietly, there is absolutely no way that this sex offender, psychopath, and cyber criminal, who, according to the landlord, the Greenville Group, specializes in surveillance devices. This is the sex offender and psychopath and cyber criminal who specializes in surveillance devices. She absolutely has to be using surveillance devices in my bathroom because there's no way she can possibly know what I do in the privacy of that bathroom, especially at 4 a.m. when I keep the lights off, unless there are absolutely surveillance devices in that bathroom that allow her to have moment by moment knowledge of what I do in that bathroom. At the same time, while I was sitting on the toilet, forgive the expression, but that's what was happening, the thug directly below in 76 started playing really loud music all of a sudden. This is at 4 a.m. on a Wednesday morning when most high IQ functional people are sleeping or maybe focusing on what they need to get done for the day ahead. These low life scumbags are sitting there perving and creeping all over everything I do in my bathroom, and then they get agitated. And even more disturbingly, when I went to the sink to try to wash my hands, the psycho sex offender directly next door in 88 started smacking the wall while I was standing at my sink washing my hands. I cannot do anything remotely normal with regards to personal hygiene in this unit without getting aggressively attacked and constantly harassed by these sex offenders who don't stop literally perving and creeping all over everything I do and responding very violently and aggressively on a 24-hour basis to what I do that is perfectly normal and related to personal hygiene. Earlier today, I had to make a video about how I was literally getting smoked out by somebody sitting behind the wall of my kitchen sink, smoking intense amounts of marijuana when I was standing at my sink at around 1 p.m., washing some personal items in a small wash tub in my sink. These personal items included undergarments, and whenever I pulled out an undergarment, squeezed it out, and hung it up, not only did the sex offender who keeps accessing the vacant premises of Unit 78 directly behind my kitchen sink, which is her former bathroom, she started getting really aggressive, but the thug directly below in 76 started making repeated violent pounding noises. He was literally hitting something against the ceiling of his unit, which is my floor, directly below my feet while I was standing at my sink washing my undergarments. I cannot do anything related to normal, functional personal hygiene in this unit without getting aggressively attacked. And this is 24/7. And right now I'm lying here on my bed trying to sleep. And this sex offender, Jay Irizarry, has once again started using some type of remote controlled stun gun device on me while I'm lying on my bed. I've made dozens of videos over the last few years about how she uses some type of remote controlled stun gun device. These devices are commercially available. People who don't think that they exist are just letting their stupid show. If we can have remote controlled rovers on Mars, if we can have remote controlled TVs, if we can have remote controlled smart speakers, then we can certainly have something as basic as a remote controlled stun gun. A stun gun is an extremely simple device that simply emits a beam of electronic output. And it's way more simple than a TV. And we've had remote controls for TVs since the 1930s. So these morons who think that remote controlled stun guns don't exist, they certainly do. Why don't you Google it and you can order one for yourself for about $85, $89, depending on the website. So while I've been lying here on my bed trying to sleep after using the bathroom, this seems to set the sex offenders all aflame. Whenever I do anything in my bathroom that's remotely normal, related to normal daily personal hygiene, they get all worked up and aggressive and intrusive, smacking the wall, hitting the floor of my feet. That's this thug directly below in 76. Now he's playing loud music all of a sudden. You can't hear it on this phone, but that was just a few minutes ago. I have to call the Greenville group. This is insane. They have chosen to place 3 registered, very mentally disturbed sex offenders in all 3 adjacent units to mine. These people are so psychotic. They never leave their units. Right now, this is my very first day off that I've had in 7 days. I worked 6 of the last 7 days. This is my very first day off, and I've been constantly harassed throughout the entire day that I've been trying to rest and just get stuff done in my unit. These nut job sex offenders in all 3 adjacent units have not let up with the surveillance-based harassment. And obviously, none of this would be possible without the use of surveillance devices, not just in my bathroom, but around my bed area that allows them to get all worked up and agitated whenever I lie on my bed on my back facing up. That's when this psychopath, sex offender, and cyber criminal who specializes in surveillance, named Jasmine Arizari, starts going to town on me with her remote stun gun and literally electronically assaulting me while I'm lying on my bed trying to sleep. This is not science fiction, idiots. Remote controlled stun guns device. Maybe you should buy one and use it on your neighbors to harass them, because that's what this neighbor keeps doing to me.
Hello, you've reached the Greenville Real Estate Group. Our office hours are from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Our office is currently closed. If this is an emergency, please press 1. Otherwise, press 2 to leave a voicemail for the front office.
Invalid input. Please try again.
Hello, you've reached the Greenville Real Estate Group. Our office hours are from 9 to 5. After the tone, please leave a detailed message with your name and number so we may get back to you when we return.
Hi there. It's right around 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday, January 17th. I'm calling from Unit 89 to report that the sex offenders in all 3 adjacent units to mine that you've chosen to place in all 3 adjacent units to mine have been getting really violent and aggressive throughout the entire day today. Whenever I've had to do anything in my unit or in my bathroom related to normal, routine personal hygiene, that they somehow have knowledge of in real time while I am trying to engage in those hygiene activities. And just now at 4:00 a.m., I tried to silently use the facilities in my bathroom. And while I was sitting on the toilet, the sex offender and psychopath who you've told me specializes in surveillance, named Jasmine Arizari, has once again resumed using some type of remote controlled stun gun device on me while I was sitting on my toilet quietly trying to use the facilities at 4 a.m. At the same time, the sex offender and thug directly below in 76 started playing really loud music also while I was sitting on my toilet when he had been silent completely before. And when I went to my kitchen sink to wash my hands after using the facilities in my bathroom at 4 a.m., the sex offender in Unit 88 started repeatedly smacking the wall that his unit shares with mine while I was washing my hands at my kitchen sink with soap. He has some kind of creepy hand fetish, and he frequently smacks the wall, the wall of my unit, while I stand at my sink washing my hands after using the bathroom. This is normal personal hygiene, and these sex offenders are not only violent and aggressive, but they're obviously using surveillance devices or have access to surveillance footage of what I do in my bathroom and at my kitchen sink in real time while I am doing it. And now I'm lying on my bed trying to rest, and the sex offender, psychopath, and cyber criminal, who you've told me specializes in electronics and surveillance, has once again resumed using a remote stun gun on me while I'm lying on my bed trying to sleep, and she's literally electronically assaulting me while I'm lying on my bed trying to sleep. Electronic assault devices with remote controls are available commercially on all kinds of self-defense websites, and they sell for about $89, depending on which website you go to. So these are not science fiction. These devices absolutely exist. Not only do they exist, but they're commonly available on self-defense websites, and you should maybe buy yourself one and use it to harass your neighbors, just like this neighbor is doing to me, except that she's doing it from the vacant premises of her former unit next door in Unit 78, which you guys keep claiming she is incapable of accessing, but which she's obviously able to pick the lock to and keeps accessing for the same purposes of stalking and harassment as she did during the 9 years that she actually lived in that unit. Nothing about her behavior has changed since you claimed that you moved her out of Unit 78 about a year and a half ago, and you've deliberately kept that unit vacant and empty for a year and a half so that she can keep accessing it and have immediate physical access to my unit. So she's right next to where I am. and she continues to engage in the same exact pattern of stalking, harassment, and assault from the vacant premises of her former bathroom now, as she did during the 9 years that you officially housed her in the bathroom of Unit 78. If you have any questions, I can be reached at 617-459-0208. I am recording this voicemail for legal purposes. You might want to forward it to your legal team because the violent, intrusive, and aggressive behavior of the sex offenders in all 3 adjacent units prevents me from being able to safely use my bathroom, my kitchen sink, and even to just lie on my bed facing the ceiling, because these sex offenders who you choose to house and place in all 3 adjacent units to mine are obviously being provided with video footage of what I do in the privacy of this unit, and it's not private. And then they become really aggressive and intrusive and literally try to participate in the process. Again, I can be reached at 617-459-0208. This voicemail is being recorded for legal purposes. I will be following up in writing in an email to you and your legal team. Thank you. Yeah. That's absolutely insane. I can't believe I keep having to leave these voicemails. This is like the 200 millionth voicemail regarding this psychopath Jay Irizarry's use of some type of remote controlled electronic assault device that I've left for the Greenville group over the last like 4 years. And it has gotten really bad over the last 2.5 years. So I shouldn't have to keep leaving these voicemails. They're the ones who are choosing to rent to a homicidal, criminally insane psychopath and sex offender named Jasmine Irizarry, who is in the Massachusetts Sex Offender Registry and who the police detectives have told me is a psychopath and, quote, according to Greenville's own property manager, has done some very bad things. So this isn't my imagination. This is me reporting what should be expected to be the behavior of sex offenders and psychopaths with homicidal tendencies. So these are not normal people. I'm not, reporting the activities of people who have normal jobs and normal lives and high IQs. These are obviously low IQ sex offenders who are obsessive, who are criminally insane, who are legally restricted to staying in their units, and that's why they never leave. And that's why when I do have a day off like today and I'm home all day, they just don't stop going to town on harassing me every single hour based on what I do in the privacy of this unit. I'm assuming the Greenville group is in charge of the surveillance devices in my bathroom because a former maintenance manager told me that he doesn't have access to the footage, but if I want to speak to somebody who does, I should speak to Oleg Eliseyev. He's the one who has access to the footage. So this maintenance manager, who apparently no longer works for the Greenville group, confirmed that there are surveillance devices in my bathroom, but that, quote, I don't have access to the footage. You'd have to speak to Oleg about getting access to the footage. So there we go, guys. This is not my imagination. And it is leading to some very unsafe and hazardous conditions in this unit, because when you're getting remote tasered or remote stun gunned by a psychotic sex offender who keeps accessing the premises of her former bathroom because it is as close as she can possibly get physically to your physical self so that she can engage in harassment, stalking, and harm, then you're in danger, obviously. And Greenville refuses to admit about the truth about who they rent to. They keep saying these people are not sex offenders. Yes, they are. I have gone to the sex offender registry and looked them up. They're in it. So Greenville is lying, and it's obvious that they lie because they're covering their ass. They don't want people to know who they actually rent to, and that's a fact. They have a vested interest in making up stories about who they rent to, and then you have to do your own research and go digging stuff up in state records, but the state records don't lie. Greenville does, especially Mr. Eliseyev, who's the one who's in charge of placing these sex offenders in these units right next to mine. I think Mr. Eliseyev has a sick and twisted sense of humor and probably got a kick out of placing 3 sex offenders in all 3 adjacent units to mine, even though this building, the 5 Union Ave building, according to Greenville, is supposed to be kept for people who do have jobs and who do have to pay their rent out of pocket and who do have daily responsibilities and who are not criminally insane and legally confined to their units. But he violated his own policy by renting to these criminally insane thugs and sex offenders in 88, 76 below, and 78 behind the wall of my kitchen sink, because none of these nut jobs ever seem to leave the building. They're constantly in their units. And when I do have a day off, again, where I'm home all day, I get aggressively harassed every single hour based on what I do in the privacy of this unit. This keeps happening, and it is going to be reported to court, to housing court.